In Qingshi County, within the Cloud Mist Mountain Range, early spring brought singing birds, fragrant flowers, and blooming blossoms. This season provided abundant nectar, ideal for bees to forage and produce honey. Atop Peak 007 in Zone D of the Cloud Mist Mountain Range stood a lush ancient pine tree bathed in warm sunlight. From its lowest branch hung a pinewood beehive, about 5 feet long. A swarm of bees flew disorderly around the hive, appearing troubled. Qi Ping, a young beekeeper wearing a straw hat and bearing a tanned face, had just arrived at the base of the pine tree and noticed the chaotic scene. He wondered aloud what was wrong with his beehive. Suspecting an attack by the striped tigerhead wasps, known predators of bees nearby, Qi Ping inspected carefully but found no trace of them. He observed the bees' erratic flight patterns, unlike their usual reconnaissance behavior, and considered the possibility that the swarm was preparing to abscond. Recognizing the gravity of losing this valuable colony, Qi Ping opened the hive, clipped the bee king's wings, and installed a queen excluder to prevent its escape. However, he knew this only addressed the symptoms, not the cause. Recalling his beekeeping knowledge, Qi Ping checked the hive temperature, which was normal, and noted that although some Tier 1 flowers had wilted, ordinary flowers were still plentiful, ruling out insufficient nectar sources. The recent decline in tigerhead wasp attacks and the absence of varroa mites or wax moths further deepened the mystery. He also confirmed that the honeycomb was plentiful and food supplies sufficient. After half an hour of meticulous inspection with no clues, Qi Ping admitted his lack of skill and decided to seek help from Old Man Zhou, the lazy old man from whom he had inherited his beekeeping knowledge. 5 years earlier, Qi Ping had transmigrated from Blue Star into the body of a gravely injured beggar. Old Man Zhou had rescued and healed him, imparting his immortal cultivation technique and, after years of evaluation, his entire beekeeping knowledge. When Qi Ping asked why old Zhou chose him, the old man replied it was because of his low-grade with spirit root aptitude, implying low talent and little hope for advancement, but also promising no abandonment. Qi Ping knew that old Zhou once had a talented disciple who joined a powerful sect and never returned or sent word, leading old Zhou to become a laid-back elder who cared little for the outside world, spending his days drinking, reading travel books, and sleeping. Entering old Zhou's courtyard, Qi Ping saw the white-haired old man napping on a purple bamboo recliner beside a sandalwood table holding fresh fruit and a pot of fruit-scented light wine. Qi Ping called out to him urgently about the beehive problem. Old Zhou woke lazily, unbothered by the news, and advised that in this season, bee agitation usually stemmed from natural enemies or hive beetles, suggesting Qi Ping handle it himself. He also reminded Qi Ping to keep the spirit stones earned from honey sales after paying rent, rather than turning everything over to him. As old Zhou lay back down to nap again, Qi Ping hurriedly explained that he had already ruled out hornets, varroa mites, nest beetles, and nectar shortages, with everything appearing normal. Qi Ping's words successfully captured old Zhou's attention, surprising the veteran beekeeper who had never encountered such a situation in his half-century of experience. Old Zhou asked if Qi Ping was certain he had checked thoroughly, to which Qi Ping replied that he had inspected 4 or 5 times, his face showing helplessness. Intrigued, old Zhou declared that he would go take a look himself. Shortly after, beneath the lush ancient pine, old Zhou stood in front of the beehive, his white hair disheveled and eyebrows furrowed deeply as he muttered to himself, questioning where the problem could be. Despite his decades of experience, he had never seen anything like this. Half an hour later, old Zhou's once neat hair had become a messy tuft from his own hands, and he hurriedly descended the mountain to check the records. Qi Ping found this hurriedness unusual, as old Zhou rarely showed such urgency, having little left in the world to pique his interest. Previously, old Zhou had disdainfully refused a bag of spirit stones from Qi Ping, warning that too much wealth brought trouble. Qi Ping realized the situation was serious. Even old Zhou could not find the cause, which meant trouble for him. As a first-layer Qi refining lower-grade wood spirit root cultivator with no talent or crafting skills, losing the beehive would be disastrous. The Tier 1 small black bees barely earned enough spirit stones to buy cultivation resources, and immortality was out of reach, but at least the income ensured a worry-free life. Qi Ping had long accepted that without any golden finger, his cultivation peak would be second or third layer Qi refining. Taking over old Zhou's beekeeping business and living peacefully, marrying a few well-read, gentle mortal women, and building a big mansion seemed like an attainable life goal. Compared to adventuring with its near-certain death, Qi Ping preferred to stay on this small mountain peak in the Cloud Mist mountain range, living comfortably like old Zhou. Qi Ping worried aloud about his only source of income, fearing that if the bees stopped collecting nectar, he might not even be able to pay rent to the Saiyan origin sect, which owned the Cloud Mist mountain range and charged a significant yearly fee. While Qi Ping was troubled, a surprising voice suddenly echoed in his mind, announcing the successful loading of a D&D game mod version. The loading time had taken 5 years, 3 months, 7 days, 7 hours, 21 minutes, and 36 seconds. A light screen appeared in Qi Ping's mind, displaying 12 available career templates: Barbarian, Bard, Priest, Druid, Warrior, Martial Monk, Holy Knight, Ranger, Wanderer, Bloodline Mage, Evil Mage, and Mage. Qi Ping was exasperated at the lengthy loading time but was surprised to find the familiar game had transmigrated with him. He recalled downloading it casually during boring moments in his previous life and had played it diligently for half a year, familiar with most professions and their skill settings. He believed that with these 12 profession templates, his situation in the immortal cultivation realm could improve significantly. Although these professions might not match the path of immortal cultivation, they were stronger than his current low-grade talent. He recalled the saying that once one could learn skills across professions, the balance of professions no longer existed, so with the right profession and skillful play, making a mark in the immortal cultivation realm was possible. Qi Ping considered the importance of choosing the most suitable profession carefully, knowing he had only one chance. He decided to use a process of elimination. First, he excluded Barbarian, Bard, Priest, and Martial Monk. The Bard was a support profession focused on encouragement, illusions, and charm, unsuitable since he had no powerful allies to support. The Barbarian was an impulsive brute, a minor monster in the immortal cultivation realm, and a foolish choice. The Priest's support and healing skills were similar to the Bard's, so he ruled it out. The Martial Monk, an Eastern unarmed combatant, was more suited to a martial arts world. After excluding those 4, Qi Ping further eliminated Warrior, Holy Knight, Wanderer, and Ranger. The Warrior, like the Martial Monk, was a tank and pulverizer better suited for a martial arts world. The Wanderer, essentially a thief skilled in hiding and backstabbing, was unsuitable. The Ranger was similar and of little use in the immortal cultivation realm. The Holy Knight, drawing power from faith and light, offered some operational space but was ultimately more fitting for a martial arts world, requiring faith from sects like the Buddhist or Confucian. This left 4 professions: Bloodline Mage, Druid, Mage, and Evil Mage, all significant in the immortal cultivation realm. The Bloodline Mage drew strength from bloodlines, potentially terrifying if one could bathe in the blood of powerful demon beasts, true dragons, Qilin, or divine beasts like Tao Tai. The Druid's power came from faith in nature, with abilities in natural spellcasting, animal transformation, beast taming, and farming, offering the widest range of employment. The Mage, a great spellcaster, was undoubtedly powerful and capable of establishing a divine kingdom at the pinnacle. The Evil Mage specialized in dark arts and eerie spells, offering significant play space, especially suitable for a demon sect. The 4 professions offered ample room for development in the immortal cultivation realm, each capable of becoming extremely strong if played well. Qi Ping identified the 4 professions most suitable for the realm but acknowledged that the choice had to suit his personality and circumstances. He considered that if he were in a demon sect, the Evil Mage would be the obvious choice, but he immediately excluded it due to his fear of death and the high risks involved in joining such a sect. He ruled out the Bloodline Mage because it required access to powerful beast bloodlines, which he currently had no means of obtaining. He could not expect Old Man Zhou, a 4th-layer Qi refining cultivator, to hunt strong demon beasts, and being poor, even saving 10 years' worth of spirit stones might not suffice to buy such bloodlines, especially with the beehive problem making even rent difficult. Qi Ping acknowledged the mage's formidable power, capable of world destruction with forbidden spells like earth, fire, wind, water, space magic, and time magic, especially when combined with a cultivator. However, he noted the mage's fragility in early stages and the high risk of mistakes, which, given his fragile start and low comprehension, made the path akin to hell level. His gaze then fell on the Druid, a profession that initially tempted him. He carefully compared all options again, knowing that a wrong choice would lead to lifelong regret. The Druid's 4 abilities, beast taming, farming, transformation, and spellcasting, offered immediate practical benefits. Beast taming and farming could provide quick help, such as communicating with animals to understand the bee's agitation and rapidly boosting combat power by forming packs with hornets, which could threaten a mid-stage chi refining cultivator. Low-intelligence animals were easier to pact with, and farming allowed growth of plants and spiritual medicine, invaluable in the immortal cultivation realm. Additionally, Druid's natural affinity with nature could provide a slight advantage in enlightenment, a crucial factor given the body Qi Ping inhabited had low talent and average comprehension. His poor with spirit root and slow progress with basic wood element techniques had frustrated Old Man Zhou, reinforcing that choosing the mage was too risky. Qi Ping decided firmly to choose the Druid profession, confident that beast taming and farming abilities would not disappoint and that it could immediately solve the beehive issue, his current survival means. Without hesitation, he selected the Druid profession. The system generated the profession template and prompted him to choose a main and subprofession. The Druid subprofession offered the most options, known as the all-round profession, ranked 13th in strength among 12 professions. After pondering, Qi Ping chose Beast King Druid as the main profession and Jungle Druid as the subprofession. The Beast King Druid could have more than one animal companion and share one talent from them, compensating for Qi Ping's low talent, a feature other subprofessions lacked. The Jungle Druid specialized in planting spiritual medicine, with the representative skill plant growth accelerating their growth, a highly valuable ability in the immortal cultivation realm where wealth and spiritual medicine were closely linked. The system confirmed the successful selection of main and subprofessions and generated professional talents. Animal Companion, allowing Qi Ping to contract animal companions and share their talents with increasing contract slots per level, and Natural Affinity, granting high affinity with plant-based energy. Qi Ping then chose professional skills for Beast King Druid, selecting 3 out of 4. Animal Communication, enabling understanding and communication with animals. Beast Friend, reducing animals' hostility and fostering favorable impressions. And Beast King's Blessing, passively increasing animal companions' upgrade speed and transformation success rate. He temporarily abandoned Beast Mastery due to its chance of failure in compelling animals, especially given the higher intelligence of animals in the immortal cultivation realm, unless the skill was upgraded significantly. For Jungle Druid, he chose 1 skill out of 3, Plant Growth, which actively increased plant growth speed by consuming energy. Seeing the familiar options identical to those from his previous life, Qi Ping felt a surge of joy. This modified starting skill set offered much higher playability compared to the normal version, perfectly suited to his situation. Qi Ping realized he didn't have many animals around to control, while the other 3 skills could immediately help him find powerful animal companions. He chose the plant growth skill, the main reason for selecting Jungle Druid and the core skill in the farming stream, since a druid without plant growth was unworthy of the title. Relying solely on plant growth, one wouldn't starve in the immortal cultivation realm, although its specific strength remained to be tested. As the skill selection completed, a data panel generated, displaying Qi Ping's name, level, professions, talents, animal companion slots, and skills, including the constant skills Animal Communication and Beast Friend. Suddenly, a green light flashed through Qi Ping's body, transforming his perception to sense with spirit Qi at least 10 times stronger than before, reflecting his upgraded spirit root affinity. The little black bees in front of him, influenced by the Beast Friend skill, buzzed curiously and expressed friendliness. Qi Ping sensed his awakening had succeeded, feeling like no longer just a first-layer Qi refining cultivator with low talent and comprehension. He hoped to contract a powerful animal companion to ensure his safety, earn money through farming, raise companions, and accumulate upgrade experience. His immediate priority became understanding the restlessness of the little black bees. Spring and summer, the highest honey-yielding seasons, promised a good income from spirit stones. Qi Ping used his newfound knowledge to touch the mysterious energy with his intention, causing the buzzing to transform into meaningful language in his mind. The bees communicated about a large bee, an earth cavity large bee, stealing honey, and a golden large bee that was fierce and dangerous, indicating a need to move. Qi Ping, overwhelmed by thousands of buzzing bees, adjusted to the information and suspected the earth cavity golden marrow bee was the cause. This rare species had higher combat power than the golden striped hornet and produced honey worth at least 10 times more than the little black bees. However, breeding the golden marrow bee was challenging, making it much rarer. Originally, Qi Ping planned to assign his first animal companion slot to the golden striped hornet for its combat power, but if the bees referred to the golden marrow bee, it would be a far superior choice. The golden marrow bee's combat power and honey-making ability surpassed both the little black bees and the hornet. Qi Ping reviewed the bee's attributes. Tier 1 intermediate bloodline, talents including brewing artisan, highly poisonous tail needle, and wind speed, along with its shy yet aggressive nature and high honey source requirements. Recalling this information, Qi Ping felt delighted, knowing a tamed and breedable golden marrow bee was extraordinarily valuable and difficult to tame. 10 times harder than the small black bee, with less than a 10% success rate for taming a wild hive. Contracting such a hive would be a stroke of great luck. He hoped the Beast King Druid skills were strong enough to help him succeed. Qi Ping began communicating with the little black bees about the golden marrow bee hive's location, asking repeatedly where the big, earth cavity, golden bee was. Due to their low intelligence, communication was difficult, but eventually, some bees understood and pointed toward the Cloud Mist Mountain range, warning of danger. Just as Qi Ping sought a more specific location, 2 bold bees unexpectedly began leading the way. This surprised Qi Ping, as small black bees usually feared golden marrow bees and wouldn't take initiative. He considered that among many bees, a few bold ones might emerge, similar to diverse human or bird groups. This was fortunate, since golden marrow bees were extremely sensitive to disturbances and difficult even for cultivators to locate underground hives, contributing to their rarity. Following the bold bees, Qi Ping ventured deeper into the Cloud Mist Mountain range, where taller trees, thorny vines, and thick undergrowth grew. Although he was only a first-layer Qi refining cultivator, the spiritual Qi made the vines more robust and hazardous than ordinary ones, some highly poisonous. In such an environment, tracking the golden marrow bees alone would be nearly impossible. Qi Ping expressed relief that the 2 bees were leading the way and made a mental note to share some rewards with them once everything was gathered. As he ventured deeper into the Cloud Mist Mountain range, he noticed his perception sharpening significantly, sensing movements from afar. He also felt enhancements in his body and spiritual Qi, with a faster recovery speed, though these improvements were not reflected in his druid skills. He realized that some traits of the druid profession, like the enhancement buff he received in the forest, needed to be discovered personally. He considered that in future dangers, escaping into the forest might be wise, and that cultivating or planting powerful spirit trees and medicines there could accelerate his cultivation. As Qi Ping continued deeper, he perceived his physique growing stronger with his rising druid level, but his anxiety increased about the potential threats ahead, such as poisonous plants and toxic insects. Despite the advantages of his jungle druid and beast king druid professions, he knew he was not invincible, especially against intelligent spirit beasts or ferocious insects. He carefully parted a toxic vine, feeling a rising sense of danger, and repeatedly asked the 2 small black bees how much farther it was. They responded vaguely that it was almost there, so he braced himself and followed. After some time, the bees stopped and warned of danger ahead, trembling slightly as if fearful of a higher bloodline being. Qi Ping instructed them to return for their safety, acknowledging their boldness in leading him this far. The bees buzzed around him before flying back. Qi Ping noted their appearance carefully, a skill granted by his Beast King Druid status, and resolved to reward them during their limited lifespans. Taking a deep breath, Qi Ping gripped the lower-grade magical artifact Long Saber given by Old Head Zhou and began to advance cautiously, using his keen perception to avoid thorns and hazards. Soon, he spotted a golden marrow bee at the base of a centennial pine tree, a discovery made possible by his jungle druid senses. He felt a surge of joy, relieved that no unexpected threats had appeared. He quickly stored the saber in his space-saving bag to avoid disturbing the bee with killing intent. The golden marrow bee was collecting rare pine sap from the old pine tree's roots, sap that could qualify as spiritual medicine but was extremely scarce. For Qi Ping, gathering enough would take half a month, and the dangers made the yield far less than breeding black little bees. The golden marrow bee was special, collecting not only nectar but also spiritual medicines to mix into its honey, explaining the superior quality. The bee sensed Qi Ping's presence and paused, eyeing him curiously without hostility. Qi Ping felt anxious, knowing that golden marrow bees typically either attacked or fled from humans, both unfavorable outcomes for him. Their speed and venom were formidable, nearly matching a mid-stage Qi refining cultivator, making pursuit or combat dangerous. Yet this bee did not flee. Encouraged, Qi Ping carefully approached, and the bee circled him curiously, vaguely communicating a friendly greeting. Qi Ping expressed his honest desire to contract with the bee as his animal companion and help strengthen its community. He explained that for the bee community, propagation and collective strength mattered more than individual will, and they would sacrifice fearlessly for the good of their species. This understanding was familiar to Qi Ping as a beekeeper. Bees would attack strong enemies at the cost of their lives and gather precious medicines regardless of danger, all for the community's survival and growth. Confident in his role as a Beast King Druid, Qi Ping awaited the bee's response, which hinted at understanding the contract and the goal of strengthening the community. The golden marrow bee hesitated before repeating Qi Ping's words about strengthening the community. After several repetitions, it finally understood and grew excited, expressing trust in Qi Ping and the intention to inform the Bee King. Qi Ping responded by asking the bee to lead him there, releasing a deep breath of relief as this was the hardest step. The bee's trust indicated that the entire community would likely be friendly, minimizing the risk of Qi Ping's journey and increasing the chance of a successful contract. Had the bee shown hostility, Qi Ping would have fled, knowing the whole swarm might be dangerous to him at his cultivation level. Following the golden marrow bee's lead, Qi Ping walked with newfound confidence, trusting the bee's path as relatively safe. After traveling 2 or 3 miles, they arrived at a small, ordinary grove indistinguishable from others, with no visible signs of habitation. A small hole covered with dead leaves, revealed only by the bees burrowing, served as the hive entrance. A divine sense scan detected nothing unusual, resembling a common mouse hole. Soon, a large group of golden marrow bees emerged, buzzing around and inspecting Qi Ping, with some bold ones landing on him. While this would scare most cultivators, Qi Ping sensed no malice. About 1,000 bees appeared, fewer than the nearly 10,000 black little bees but still considerable for golden marrow bees, which require more spirit flowers and spiritual medicine to sustain a large community due to their high bloodline rank. At the center stood the largest golden marrow bee, about half the size of a fist and 3 times bigger than the workers, with a golden body, black golden abdominal rings, stout black golden mandibles, and wings tinged with gold. Male bees were slightly smaller but had especially sharp mandibles. The bees communicated with Qi Ping around their Bee King, and the process proved much easier than expected. Qi Ping repeated his earlier conversation, and the entire community agreed to become his animal companions. The swarm's unanimous willingness surprised Qi Ping, as the process had been far simpler than anticipated. Other cultivators at the Qi refining stage would envy such a swift contract, especially beekeepers familiar with the difficulty of nurturing earth cavity golden marrow bees and forming contracts. Qi Ping internally praised the strength of the Beast King Druid identity, which clearly held a significant advantage in contracting intelligent animals like the golden marrow bees. Before becoming a Beast King Druid, Qi Ping had never dared to dream of contracting a swarm of golden marrow bees, yet now he had succeeded. Without hesitation, Qi Ping decided to initiate the contract immediately, knowing that any delay could jeopardize his mindset if something went wrong. The bees responded affirmatively, Qi Ping channeled a mysterious energy with his consciousness, causing a dark green contract array to slowly form. He wondered which talent the golden marrow bees would grant him after the contract. The bees had 3 main talents: brewing artisan, highly poisonous tail needle, and wind speed. Based on past experience, there was an 80% chance of gaining one of these main talents and a 20% chance of gaining a less significant trait. Qi Ping hoped for the wind speed talent, which would enhance his affinity for wind attribute spiritual qi and grant a speed boost in areas rich with wind energy. He silently prayed not to receive the highly poisonous tail needle talent, as he could hardly imagine what it would mean for his body. After dozens of breaths, the human-sized dark green array completed, and Qi Ping merged it into the swarm. In the D&D modded game, a contract could bind an entire swarm as a single animal companion, unaffected by the life cycle of individual bees. The golden marrow bee swarm did not resist but allowed the array's power to enter them. A dark green glow erupted from both the bees and Qi Ping, and the contract ceremony lasted a full quarter of an hour. During the process, Qi Ping experienced a shared perception of talents with the bees, while the bees received the enhancement of their bloodline through the Beast King's Blessing skill. Increased upgrade speed and a higher success rate of transformation as Qi Ping's animal companions. The Beast King's Blessing skill did not manifest spontaneously. It fundamentally transformed the bloodline of all Qi Ping's animal companions. When Qi Ping noticed how much time had passed, he initially felt a trace of fear, realizing the contract took much longer than expected. In the game, contracts were instantaneous, but in the immortal cultivation realm, this one spanned a full quarter of an hour. Qi Ping reminded himself that future contracts must occur in safe environments to avoid disaster from unexpected attacks. Fortunately, the golden marrow bee swarm contract completed smoothly. Their bloodline, at the mid-stage of Tier 1, was powerful enough to intimidate and attract mid-stage Qi refining cultivators. Now officially contracted as Qi Ping's animal companions, the bees granted him not only combat strength but also access to valuable honey, a dual advantage. Qi Ping was highly satisfied with the golden marrow bees as his first animal companion, appreciating their ability to fight, generate income, and serve as a hidden trump card. Among the spirit beasts available, none matched the golden marrow bees in overall cost-performance ratio. Examining the shared talent, Qi Ping noticed it differed slightly from the bees' original talent. The new, brewing artisan talent indicated a keen aptitude for pollen and some spiritual medicine, allowing the bees to brew these into honey with extraordinary effects. The original talent emphasized innate honey brewing and enhancing spiritual medicine's effects. Qi Ping found the enhancement of perception in spiritual medicine promising, considering it a useful ability despite lacking the speed boost of wind speed. Though the brewing artisan talent could not compare to alchemy, combined with plant growth, it could enhance Qi Ping's cultivation during the Qi refining stage. Compared to the highly poisonous tail needle, this talent was acceptable. The golden marrow bee's combat power was sufficient to threaten mid-stage Qi refining cultivators, so the minor speed boost was not critical for Qi Ping at his current cultivation level. Satisfied, Qi Ping also recalled the bees' high nectar source requirements. Their decision to settle nearby suggested an abundance of pollen or spiritual medicine in the area. After internalizing the brewing artisan knowledge, Qi Ping focused on the golden marrow bees, who had just emerged from the contract's special state. The bees voluntarily became his animal companions, forging an intimate and trustworthy partnership. Qi Ping immediately sensed a deep connection with each bee, even with his eyes closed. Communication became effortless through this bond, allowing information transfer without speech. When Qi Ping inquired about their condition, the Bee King responded that their bodies felt more transparent, comfortable, and their perception had strengthened. Qi Ping learned that under the Beast King's blessing, the golden marrow bee's overall talent improved significantly, including changes in spiritual qi flow and perception. This enhancement would facilitate easier future upgrades and transformations. The contract marked the crucial first step in strengthening the colony, as talent enhancement was the most difficult and fundamental aspect. Communication between Qi Ping and the bees became much easier, though he was unsure whether this resulted from the special connection or improved intellect. Qi Ping recognized that the bees now possessed enough strength to threaten mid-stage qi refining cultivators, with potential to grow strong enough to challenge late-stage cultivators if commanded wisely. The improved communication efficiency would aid in battle command. Feeling extremely satisfied, Qi Ping acknowledged that although his own strength had not changed significantly, the extraordinary animal companions boosted his confidence in the immortal cultivation realm. He then asked the bees about nearby spirit flowers or spiritual medicine, knowing such resources often grew near golden marrow bees. The bees confirmed a cluster of blood ginseng about 2 miles away, hidden under manure and leaves to avoid detection by other animals. Qi Ping felt a thrill, realizing his studies with old Zhou had helped him uncover this secret. Blood ginseng, a valuable Tier 1 intermediate spiritual medicine, greatly aided body refining and cultivation, and commanded a high market price. With sufficient blood ginseng, even Qi Ping's low-grade talent could break through to mid-stage qi refining within a few years. His excitement grew further knowing his plant growth skill could accelerate the growth and reproduction of blood ginseng, enabling rapid accumulation. Moreover, the golden marrow bee's brewing artisan talent would allow honey brewed with blood ginseng to retain or enhance its special effects. Qi Ping planned to take responsibility for accelerating growth with his plant growth skill while the golden marrow bees handled brewing honey, ensuring both parties would have a sufficient supply of high-grade honey to improve physique and cultivation, simultaneously enhancing his Druid experience and plant growth skill. He intended to continue his quiet beekeeping and farming, gradually increasing his strength and extending his lifespan considerably. He then asked about the location of the blood ginseng and was led by the golden marrow bees to the spot. The patch of blood ginseng was hidden among a jumble of weeds, making it extremely difficult to distinguish from the surrounding plants. Without careful inspection, even passing by multiple times would not have revealed it. Among the dry leaves and various insect and beast droppings, an unusual scent barely masked the smell of blood ginseng. Qi Ping noted the intelligence of the golden marrow bees in sustainably extracting sap from the blood ginseng while protecting it. After peeling away the grass, Qi Ping found 16 blood ginseng plants, 3 seedlings and 13 roughly thumb-sized, estimated to be between 10 and 30 years old. The quantity delighted him, considering that selling his modest assets might only afford 1 or 2 such plants. However, Qi Ping questioned how so much blood ginseng could thrive here, given the mountain forest's low spiritual qi and the earth vein's poor quality. Advanced spirit plants require rich spiritual land, or they become malnourished or fail to grow. The healthy growth of these plants contradicted the known conditions. He sensed no difference in spiritual qi concentration in the air compared to other areas, so he suspected the underground might hold the answer. Extending his hand close to the soil, Qi Ping used divine sense and, enhanced by his jungle druid perception, discovered an anomaly beneath the blood ginseng. An extraordinary source of spiritual qi existed underground, actively absorbed by the blood ginseng itself, explaining why the surrounding flora showed no signs of this energy. Qi Ping wondered if something hidden lay beneath the land, but suppressed his urge to investigate further, considering his current weakness and the potential danger. He decided to first accelerate the growth of a large batch of blood ginseng and improve the strength of himself and the golden marrow bees before exploring below. Since the blood ginseng had absorbed spiritual qi underground for decades, there was no immediate rush. He calmed himself and tested the plant growth skill, consciously invoking the sensed mysterious energy and gathering it in his hand. Within about 10 breaths, a cluster of deep green energy rich in vitality power formed. Qi Ping infused this energy into a piece of blood ginseng. The previously wrinkled plant quickly healed from damage caused by the golden marrow bees collection, becoming plump and growing visibly. The golden marrow bees expressed amazement at the miraculous recovery and growth, having just collected the plant's juice themselves. Qi Ping explained patiently that this was his special talent, revealing nothing to his animal companions. He estimated the overall effect as decent for level 1 of the plant growth skill, expecting better results as the skill improved. The skill consumed spiritual qi and spiritual power but remained within acceptable limits. Spiritual power could support about 10 uses per day, though spiritual qi seemed insufficient. He noted that in the forest, the recovery speed boost would pose no problem, but his first layer Qi refining cultivation was somewhat weak, necessitating refinement of golden marrow honey to improve his cultivation. Since golden marrow honey used a large amount of blood ginseng, its effects would be extraordinary. Qi Ping was satisfied with the plant growth skills effect, recognizing that while not immediately stunning, its accumulated benefits over time would be impressive. As an experienced grind king gamer, he welcomed the steady progress. He cast plant growth repeatedly on other blood ginseng plants, achieving similar growth effects. After the fourth casting, a message appeared in his mind indicating Druid level experience +1, and after the fifth, another message showed plant growth skill experience +1. Qi Ping finally relaxed, seeing his level experience and skill experience increase. In the game's D&D modified system, continuous skill casting raised experience points. The increase in Druid level experience depended on the chosen subprofession. Since Qi Ping was a Beast King Druid and Jungle Druid, nurturing animal companions and promoting plant growth both contributed to his level experience. He realized that cultivating the hive and blood ginseng simultaneously would accelerate his experience gains, estimating that within 1 or 2 months, he would reach level 2 Druid. At that point, he would awaken new professional skills, contract another animal companion, share new talents with his companions, and significantly boost his strength. For Qi Ping, 1 or 2 months was a reasonable pace. Qi Ping had spent 5 years in the immortal cultivation realm, and reaching and stabilizing at the first layer of Qi refining had taken several years. Compared to that, 1 or 2 months was quite fast. After casting plant growth for the 6th time, Qi Ping depleted most of the spiritual Qi in his body, causing a slight dizziness. Recognizing the excessive spiritual power consumption, he stopped urging growth and took a jade bottle from his storage bag. This bottle, usually used to store black little bee honey, was perfect for the current use. Qi Ping instructed the golden marrow bees to fill the bottle with honey and to collect blood ginseng carefully without damaging the roots, promising to cultivate them daily when possible. The bees responded eagerly. At the golden marrow bees' cave, the jade bottle quickly filled with golden honey under the bees' busy activity. The honey's color was purer than that of the black little bees, resembling nectar of the gods. Qi Ping sniffed its fragrance, feeling a slight resonance in his body and spiritual power. He considered the honey a miracle elixir, crafted from blood ginseng, brewing artisan skills, and other precious spiritual medicine and spirit flowers. After storing the honey in his storage bag, he allowed dozens of golden marrow bees to enter his sleeves as a defensive measure, knowing the dangers of the immortal cultivation realm. As Qi Ping prepared to leave the forest, he unexpectedly encountered Old Zhou, who was about to break into the forest wielding a mortal blade. Old Zhou's hair was disheveled, his wrinkled face anxious and worried. He held only an ordinary mortal blade, his best weapon after giving his storage bag and lower-grade magical artifact great saber to Qi Ping. Qi Ping asked Old Zhou what was happening, feeling nervous at seeing him in such a state. Old Zhou first checked Qi Ping for injuries, then urged him to come along, using spiritual power to pull him down the mountain swiftly before slowing his pace. When Qi Ping pressed for details, Old Zhou explained there was danger in the forest. Black armored murder bees and earth cavity golden marrow bees might have appeared. Both swarms were deadly to mid-stage Qi refining cultivators, and Old Zhou's worry stemmed from their known lethality. Old Zhou gave Qi Ping a displeased look for venturing alone into the Cloud Mist Mountain range forests, warning that many mid- and even late-stage Qi refining cultivators had perished to these bee swarms. Despite understanding Qi Ping's recklessness, Old Zhou admitted these bees were rare and that he had never seen them in his lifetime of beekeeping. Qi Ping understood Old Zhou's anxiety, realizing the threat level from the bees. He noticed Old Zhou's minimal weaponry and lack of protective attire, feeling a warm respect for the old man who had passed down invaluable beekeeping skills and safeguarded his existence through the black little bees. Old Zhou's bravery was evident in his willingness to enter the forest armed only with a mortal blade to find Qi Ping. Old Zhou sternly instructed Qi Ping to avoid the mountain and leave beekeeping to him until the danger was resolved. He took responsibility for the crisis, willing to risk his life to protect his only apprentice. Qi Ping attempted to protest, but Old Zhou interrupted, emphasizing the seriousness of the threat and warning that Qi Ping's cultivation level was insufficient to survive an encounter with the deadly bee swarms. Seeing old Zhou's rare anger, Qi Ping summoned the golden marrow bee hidden in his sleeve, deciding to reveal it now rather than later to ease the old man's worry and to secure permission to continue cultivating blood ginseng. Old Zhou's anger ceased abruptly when he saw the golden marrow bee emerge. His eyes widened in shock at the golden bee's intense aura of danger. He recognized it immediately as an earth cavity golden marrow bee. He was stunned that such a dangerous and skittish bee had flown out of Qi Ping's sleeve and that Qi Ping seemed unaffected. Old Zhou held his breath, careful not to startle the bee, fearing a fatal sting. His heart eased only when he saw the bee land steadily on Qi Ping's arm and shoulder, even showing a hint of affection. Old Zhou could hardly believe the bee's unusual behavior. Old man Zhou's eyes widened as realization dawned on him. He wondered if Qi Ping had made a pact with the golden marrow bees. Nervously, old man Zhou asked about the situation with the bees, a hint of expectation in his voice. Qi Ping replied with some amusement that he had indeed made a pact with the bee king of the golden marrow bees. Old man Zhou's heart surged with shock. As a beekeeper, he understood the significance of such a pact. The golden marrow bee's combat power and honey-making abilities promised great benefits. Yet Qi Ping was only a first-layer qi refining cultivator. It seemed absurd that he had managed to form a pact with the bee king without harm. Old man Zhou asked incredulously how Qi Ping had achieved this. Trusting Qi Ping's words from their 5 years of acquaintance, old man Zhou listened as Qi Ping explained that, unable to find the cause of the hive's turmoil near the hive box, he had ventured deeper into the Cloud Mist Mountain range. There, he encountered the bee king, which showed no hostility. Qi Ping then used the blood covenant technique taught by old man Zhou to form the pact, which the bee king accepted. Qi Ping framed the story in terms old man Zhou could understand, emphasizing that friendly bee swarms were rare but did exist, and although the golden marrow bees were valuable, the risks were manageable. He deliberately withheld any mention of more extraordinary concepts like druids or crossing over, knowing that revealing such secrets could bring danger. Old man Zhou expressed amazement at Qi Ping's unparalleled luck, noting that golden marrow bees rarely accepted humans and usually required nurturing from a young age. He acknowledged that transferring the beekeeping business to Qi Ping had been the right choice, especially since Qi Ping did not disdain the work. Old man Zhou reflected on his former prodigious apprentice, who might have looked down on such a modest livelihood after experiencing the vast world of a major sect. Qi Ping thanked old man Zhou for teaching him the blood covenant technique, crediting it for the opportunity. Old man Zhou joked that a pot of good wine would be a suitable thanks, to which Qi Ping insisted on 10 pots. Laughing heartily, old man Zhou agreed, acknowledging that making a pact with the golden marrow bees was a grand occasion deserving of celebration. The laughter faded as old man Zhou's expression grew serious. He warned Qi Ping not to disclose the matter of the golden marrow bees, explaining that Wang Mountain had recently sought him out and that many tribulation cultivators had been sighted around Qingshi County. If the tribulation cultivators learned about the bees, Qi Ping would be in grave danger. Qi Ping frowned at the mention of Wang Mountain and tribulation cultivators. This was not the first time tribulation cultivators had appeared. In recent years, they had occasionally rampaged, targeting loose cultivators specifically. Strangely, the cultivators of the Cyan origin sect seemed indifferent, only sporadically sending people to suppress the tribulation cultivators when their actions became severe. This was unprecedented. Qi Ping recalled that years ago, under the governance of the Cyan origin sect, the Qingtian realm had enjoyed developed agriculture and animal husbandry, along with thriving trade. Qingshi County was known for industries such as black little bees, golden feather chickens, and spirit storage fruits. The Cyan origin sect relied on the prosperity of these industries for substantial spirit stone tax revenue. When Qi Ping first entered the immortal cultivation realm, he had been impressed by the orderly governance and industrial prosperity of the Qingtian realm, which contrasted sharply with typical depictions of the realm. Ordinary cultivators, though living hard lives, could sustain themselves through beekeeping and fruit cultivation. Old man Zhou had spent most of his life this way, without much life or death strife, except for occasional disasters like plagues or beast catastrophes that could wipe out years of investment. Generally, life went on and good harvests brought small profits. However, starting 2 or 3 years ago, the situation changed with the appearance of tribulation cultivators. These cultivators began plundering the wealth of bottom-tier loose cultivators, sometimes even killing them. Initially, people worried but trusted the Cyan Origin sect to restore order. The sect had sent disciples to patrol and maintain security, giving everyone relief. But before long, the Cyan Origin sect withdrew its security patrols, and the tribulation cultivators grew increasingly unrestrained, plundering at will. Meanwhile, the taxes and rents paid to the sect increased rather than decreased. Public resentment grew but achieved little. No one understood why the Cyan Origin sect behaved this way, whether due to internal problems or external pressures. As powerless loose cultivators, they could only accept their fate. When the sect maintained security and supported industry, cultivators benefited. But when it withdrew, dissatisfaction remained unspoken. Life had to go on. Compared to the vast number of loose cultivators, those plundered were only a small portion, and slowly everyone grew accustomed to it, living more cautiously. They gradually began organizing their own loose cultivator alliances to face potential dangers together. Old Man Zhou and Qi Ping both belonged to a loose cultivator alliance called the Fuxing Association, founded decades ago by several nearby loose cultivators to support each other. The association was small, with only a dozen or so members, mostly friends and familiar faces who helped each other as needed. For example, when Qi Ping's black little bees went missing, members of the Fuxing Association helped him find them after extensive searching. Wang Mountain, a mature and steady elder brother within the association, was an expert at raising Tier 1 golden feather chickens and led many internal matters. Qi Ping found him friendly and meticulous. In a courtyard, Old Man Zhou urged Qi Ping to keep a secret, and Qi Ping assured him he would not tell anyone else. Old Man Zhou expressed concern about the increasing number of tribulation cultivators, advising Qi Ping to be extra cautious despite his usual trust in Qi Ping's steady nature. He reminded Qi Ping to live well and carry forward the beekeeping business, though he himself cared little, with only 10 years of lifespan remaining. Qi Ping grinned, promising to provide enough wine and noting he was still unmarried. Old Man Zhou dismissed such youthful concerns and retired to sleep, stretching lazily and returning to his laid-back demeanor as he walked back to his courtyard. The issue with the golden marrow bees that had agitated the black little bees had been resolved by Qi Ping's successful contract. Old Man Zhou was unconcerned with the details, trusting Qi Ping's meticulousness and feeling that if a threat arose beyond the golden marrow bee swarm's power, his old bones would be of little use. After eating fresh fruit, Old Man Zhou lay back on the purple bamboo lounge chair and soon began snoring quietly. Qi Ping watched Old Man Zhou leave, feeling uncertain whether to laugh or cry at the elder's quick return to calm. Though Old Man Zhou had been shocked moments before, he now embodied ease. Qi Ping reminded himself that he had not yet reached complacency. Having just awakened the Druid class and contracted the golden marrow bee, he was ready for action. He planned first to inform the black little bee swarm that the golden marrow bee issue was resolved, so they would no longer fear, then to refine golden marrow honey to enhance his cultivation quickly. He left 20 golden marrow bees hidden around Old Man Zhou's courtyard as guardians, knowing the elder's alertness was low enough that a tribulation cultivator could enter unnoticed. These bees would warn and assist Old Man Zhou if danger approached. Previously reliant on Old Man Zhou's shelter to keep bees and earn spirit stones, Qi Ping now sought to protect the elder as best he could. After arranging the guardians, he hurried back to the flourishing ancient pine. At the beehive beneath the ancient pine, the black bees flew chaotically, more agitated than before, likely sensing the golden marrow bees nearby. The swarm emitted signals of danger and fear, casting curious and pleading looks at Qi Ping when he appeared. 2 black bees that had guided Qi Ping into the forest landed on his shoulder but quickly jumped up in fright, warning again of the golden big bee smell. Amused yet helpless, Qi Ping quickly explained to the black bees that the golden marrow bees were now his partners and would not harm them. After repeating this several times, The black bees finally understood, expressing amazement and trust in Qi Ping's words. Qi Ping had not expected such simple reassurance to suffice but acknowledged the rising influence of the Beast King Druid. He summoned the golden marrow bees from his body for a brief introduction, and the black bees gradually adapted to their presence despite initial instinctive fear. The two courageous black bees, with permission from Qi Ping and the golden marrow bees, boldly approached to sniff them before retreating swiftly, a scene that left Qi Ping both amused and helpless. Inspired, Qi Ping poured a few drops of golden marrow honey, sharing it with the two brave bees, offering them a rare treat. Upon receiving Qi Ping's gift, the two courageous bees trembled with excitement just by sniffing it. Instead of consuming the golden marrow honey themselves, they cheerfully presented it to the black bee queen. Qi Ping, initially surprised, soon understood that for bees, the growth of the community is paramount, and contributing to the swarm is the highest honor. Presenting the honey to the queen was likely the most meaningful and joyous event for the two bees. Qi Ping chose not to interfere, respecting their decision. Reflecting on this, Qi Ping poured a few more drops of golden marrow honey for the black bee queen. Though insignificant to him and the golden marrow bees, this amount could strengthen the queen's bloodline and benefit future generations by improving the quality of black bee honey. Having resolved the agitation of the black bees, Qi Ping felt pleased and considered the improvements the plant growth skill and ample blood ginseng supply would bring to the quality and yield of golden marrow honey, sufficient for his cultivation needs. He also planned to prepare some for Old Man Zhou, hoping it might aid in another breakthrough and extend his lifespan. With these thoughts, Qi Ping ventured once again into the depths of the Cloud Mist Mountain range. Amidst the forested mountains, Qi Ping cultivated under the blessing of the jungle druid, benefiting from wood spirit qi and wood attribute techniques. Refining golden marrow honey in the forest offered multiple advantages. Deep within the Cloud Mist Mountain range, Qi Ping sat cross-legged on a large ancient cedar branch, surrounded by about 100 golden marrow bees guarding the area. He chose this location not only for its safety but because the ancient cedar emitted richer wood attribute energy, aiding his absorption of spiritual energy and comprehension of the wood shield technique. The wood shield technique, a wood attribute technique accidentally acquired by Old Man Zhou in his youth, offered powerful defensive capabilities. Qi Ping favored its concept but found it difficult to cultivate, having barely reached the introductory stage despite long effort. He hoped to make progress this time. With everything prepared, Qi Ping swallowed a mouthful of golden marrow honey. Instantly, a rich, sweet fragrance filled his mouth, sweet but moderate, far superior to black bee honey. The honey's main ingredient, blood ginseng, imparted a unique aroma, making Qi Ping reluctant to sell it easily, knowing connoisseurs would detect its presence. As the honey entered his stomach, an eruption of rich spiritual energy and blood essence surged through him. Within breaths, Qi Ping's dantian meridians filled with abundant spiritual qi, and his body rapidly strengthened under the nourishing blood energy. Amazed by the effects, Qi Ping realized this was his first experience with such high-quality spiritual qi, far surpassing previous spiritual medicine. He reflected on how disciples from sects and families could improve quickly due to access to such materials, which cost more than half the assets of lower-tier cultivators. Most cultivators relied on farming or raising spiritual animals, earning meager spirit stones, as high-quality resources and opportunities were tightly controlled. Without strength or connections, ordinary cultivators faced great risks and limited chances. Delighting in refining golden marrow honey, Qi Ping set aside distractions and focused fully on cultivation. He concentrated on comprehending the wood shield technique and would attribute spiritual power, converting the spiritual qi from the honey into wood shield spiritual power in his sea of qi. His dantian sea of qi expanded rapidly as rich spiritual qi and blood energy spread around him, fueling his growing momentum. While Qi Ping cultivated, a special power rose from the ancient fir wood beneath him and surrounding trees. Channeling more would attribute spiritual power into his body. His absorption efficiency reached the standard of a middle grade wood spirit root, remarkable for a first-level druid. This special effect promised to strengthen further as his level increased. Under this power, Qi Ping's speed of refining blood ginseng spiritual qi multiplied several times, and conversion efficiency improved significantly. He also found his comprehension of the wood shield technique eased greatly. Previously obscure and difficult parts became clear without much effort. Qi Ping wondered if the special effect was brought by the jungle druid profession and felt assured that his choice to go into seclusion in the forests of the Cloud Mist Mountain Range had been correct. In the forest, the restriction of his lower-grade spirit root talent was greatly reduced. Seizing this rare opportunity, Qi Ping quickly gathered his heart spirit and devoted himself to cultivation. About 2 moments later, he completely refined the spiritual qi from the first mouthful of golden marrow honey. His aura increased significantly, roughly equivalent to half a year of cultivation. Qi Ping acknowledged that wealth was paramount, realizing that a moment's effort with the golden marrow honey equaled half a year of his previous cultivation. After sighing, he took another big gulp of honey and continued to cultivate wholeheartedly, aiming to break through to the second layer of qi, refining with the help of the bottle. With experience from the first refinement, Qi Ping handled the second intake of golden marrow honey with ease despite consuming more. The rich spiritual qi swirled in his body again, and as he refined it, his aura grew another notch. He continued this process through the third and fourth sips, with his aura steadily rising. Several hours later, when Qi Ping finished refining the second-last mouthful of honey, his aura suddenly surged with extraordinary momentum radiating in all directions, signifying his official breakthrough to the second layer of qi refining. Overjoyed, Qi Ping recognized that nearly exhausting the bottle had accelerated his cultivation breakthrough, saving him 5 or 6 years compared to his previous estimates. He acknowledged that despite poor talent, spiritual objects remained essential for cultivation. However, the bottle of golden marrow honey had consumed much of the golden marrow bee's stock, which took them a long time to accumulate, so its powerful effect was understandable. Qi Ping noted that his understanding of the wood shield technique had approached proficiency, and with the jungle druid's blessing in the forest, his speed of comprehending wood attribute techniques had increased by several levels. He affirmed that selecting the jungle druid profession was a wise decision for cultivating wood attribute techniques. Excited by his breakthrough, Qi Ping jumped off the ancient fir wood, took out his magical artifact long saber, and began practicing to test his enhanced strength. The shadows of the saber whirled heavily in the dense forest as he executed the wind-breaking saber technique, a straightforward qi refining saber technique. His proficiency showed he had put considerable effort into mastering it. Since arriving in the immortal cultivation realm, Qi Ping had been diligent and perseverant in cultivation but had achieved little due to limited talent, a common situation for lower-tier loose cultivators. Without merging with the druid profession and contracting the golden marrow bee by chance, he could not have broken through to the second layer so quickly. After completing a series of saber techniques, Qi Ping was very satisfied with the results of his cultivation. A breakthrough in cultivation, greatly increased strength and spiritual power intensity, and improved understanding of the wood shield technique, all enhancing his survivability. Qi Ping pondered the astonishing effect of the golden marrow bee and wondered what effects might result if brewed primarily with other spiritual medicines, such as those enhancing the body, healing injuries, or aiding realm breakthroughs. Having acquired the brewing artisan talent, Qi Ping clearly felt that the blood ginseng in golden marrow honey, which fortified the body and enhanced spiritual power, had been refined and intensified. The golden marrow bees achieved this not only by removing impurities from blood ginseng but also by integrating special spiritual materials like centennial pine oil and chuyang spirit dew. With the brewing artisan talent, Qi Ping understood that the golden marrow bees drew strengths from various spiritual medicines and materials while avoiding weaknesses, ingeniously fusing them to create golden marrow honey with optimal effects. Qi Ping concluded that using other spiritual medicines as the main ingredient instead of blood ginseng should also work. He regarded golden marrow bees as mini alchemists, noting that although their limits likely lay within the qi refining stage and they had a significant gap compared to true alchemists, their ability was remarkable to him. He recognized that precious elixirs, especially those improving physique and cultivation, were exorbitantly expensive. Even selling his batch of blood ginseng would not buy much. highlighting the importance and value of golden marrow bees as small alchemists capable of continuously brewing honey. Qi Ping also noted the limitations of golden marrow bees. They could only instinctively brew the best honey for their own kind, and the presence of other spiritual medicines and spirit flowers nearby would alter the honey's effect. To brew honey with other special effects, he would need to research with those ingredients. At this point, Qi Ping's brewing artisan talent proved useful, allowing him to fully understand the principles and steps of golden marrow bees' honey brewing, as the talent was shared from the bees themselves. By leading and researching with the golden marrow bees, he could actively create honey with various special effects and study how to maximize and enhance the effect of certain spiritual medicines. Qi Ping considered building on the abilities of golden marrow bees and his brewing artisan talent to develop honey with special effects using some alchemy knowledge. Once successful, the golden marrow bees could gradually become his dedicated alchemists. However, alchemy knowledge was too precious and beyond his current reach. For now, he could only acquire basic knowledge of elixirs and spiritual medicines. He also foresaw another future issue, the Tier 1 intermediate bloodline limitation of the golden marrow bees. The Tier 1 intermediate bloodline was strong enough for the golden marrow bees at Qi Ping's current level, but it was foreseeable that it would become a barrier preventing them from breaking through further in the future. With ample resources and the Beast King's blessing skill, reaching the late Tier 1 stage was not difficult for the golden marrow bees. However, breaking through to Tier 2 posed a considerable challenge. If the golden marrow bees failed to advance to Tier 2, the effects of the honey they brewed would remain at the Qi refining stage, making their usefulness minimal once Qi Ping reached the foundation establishment stage. At that point, the bees could still produce honey to earn spirit stones without worrying about being coveted, but their growth potential would be limited. Qi Ping remained optimistic about the future development of the golden marrow bees' abilities and hoped they could continue to grow. As his first animal companion, he wished for them to accompany him further and resolved to find a way to enhance their bloodline level. The golden marrow bees noticed Qi Ping watching them strangely and expressed confusion through their buzzing. Qi Ping reassured them that the honey was amazing and praised their impressive abilities, which made the bees twirl happily in the air and blush at the compliment. Qi Ping then began transitioning into a new life of immortal cultivation, involving daily beekeeping, flower planting, cultivation, and blood ginseng cultivation. The rhythm was similar to his previous life, but now he had the more advanced golden marrow bees and needed to plant more flowers. Cultivating blood ginseng was taxing on his spiritual power and energy, but every time he saw messages like Druid level experience +1 and plant growth skill experience +1, he felt his efforts were worthwhile. His Druid level and skill experience steadily increased alongside the benefits from the blood ginseng. Occasionally, he also received Beast King's blessing experience +1, because as he cultivated more blood ginseng, the effect of the golden marrow honey strengthened, and the overall strength of the golden marrow bee swarm gradually increased. Both their individual strength and swarm numbers improved, causing the bees to admire Qi Ping as their leader. The golden marrow bees often expressed their admiration by buzzing that his talent was amazing, though the speed of improving Beast King's blessing was much slower than the rate of acquiring level experience. Compared to blood ginseng, cultivating ordinary flowers was simpler. Since it was springtime, the humidity, soil, and spiritual qi in the cloud mist mountain range provided an excellent environment for ordinary flowers to grow with just sowing seeds and minimal use of the plant growth skill. The main concern was pest control, as insects like flower-eating bugs and compound-eyed moths could cause substantial damage. Qi Ping used spiritual qi to kill pests when discovered, unless a large-scale outbreak occurred before he could react. In over 5 years, he had witnessed only one major outbreak, which had devastated most flowers and required Elder Zhou's efforts to salvage some. Now that Qi Ping could communicate with the bees, he instructed them to notify him immediately during any pest outbreak and to summon other golden marrow bees to help eradicate the pests. Cultivating spirit flowers was significantly more challenging. Qi Ping cultivated 2 types of spirit flowers in the Cloud Mist Mountain range: moon sleep flowers and sun essence flowers. He chose these because they were relatively easy to seed, had long flowering periods, were not restricted by seasons, and had low requirements for spiritual qi and growing environment. Normally, Tier 1 spirit flowers required Tier 1 spiritual land or Tier 1 spirit veins to grow properly. But the peak of Zone D007, which Qi Ping rented, was at the edge of the Cloud Mist mountain range and lacked rich spiritual qi. Only a small area on the peak had spiritual qi levels reaching a quarter of the lowest level of Tier 1 spiritual land. Given this limitation, Qi Ping had few choices for spirit flowers, and moon sleep flowers and sun essence flowers were the most cost-effective options. Nonetheless, many still withered due to insufficient spiritual qi. When withering was severe, even the seeds preserved from the previous harvest were insufficient for replanting, necessitating additional purchases from the Cyan Stone marketplace. Fortunately, these seeds were inexpensive and could be bought with a few spirit stones. Qi Ping had considered renting plots with denser spiritual qi in Zone B or some in Zone C, but abandoned the idea after learning the rent cost. Such plots were unaffordable for a cultivator of his level. High rent required raising higher-level bees and cultivating more spirit flowers to ensure earning enough spirit stones. While success would yield significant income, failures due to disease, pest infestations, beast attacks, or tribulation cultivators could bankrupt an ordinary cultivator, leaving them unable to pay rent. Failure to pay rent could result in being taken as slaves by the Cyan origin sect if the debt was deemed unrepayable in the short term. Like medicine slaves or minor slaves, these dangerous occupations often left survivors with foundations half destroyed. Considering such risks, Qi Ping felt staying on the mountain peak in Zone D was more secure. Even with no income for a year or two, he could still scrape together the rent and avoid becoming a slave. By carefully tending his bees, he could earn some spirit stones annually, and in good harvest years, save some after covering living expenses. Overall, Cloud Mist Zone D was concluded to be the most suitable place for an ordinary cultivator like Qi Ping. Moon sleep flowers and sun essence flowers remained the best cost-effective choice despite certain withering risks. However, this problem was completely solved by one Druid skill: plant growth. Qi Ping discovered through trials that using plant growth on moon sleep flowers and sun essence flowers not only accelerated their growth, but also prevented withering for long periods. If the flowers showed signs of withering, they could be revived through plant growth, which produced energy that plants lacking spiritual qi could absorb to avoid decay. This discovery greatly delighted Qi Ping, as the withering problem had troubled him and Old Man Zhou for a long time. After managing the planting area for some time, the withering symptoms disappeared completely, and the flower yield increased significantly. The black bee colony responded with increased honey production, more than doubling their yield. Having consumed golden marrow honey, the black bee king's bloodline had slightly improved, and the increased spirit flower honey production was a double blessing, earning Qi Ping immense admiration and trust from the black bees. He gradually gained over 10,000 loyal little fans, who, despite negligible combat power enhancement, served excellently as sentinels with their numerous pairs of eyes. The golden marrow bees also benefited somewhat, as adding moon sleep flower honey and sun essence flower honey improved the overall quality and effect of their honey. In the Cloud Mist mountain range, on a tall ancient fir tree, Qi Ping sat cross-legged, slowly absorbing the spiritual qi of heaven and earth while comprehending the wood shield technique. As night faded, a ray of warm sunlight shone through the treetops onto his delicate face. Qi Ping slowly opened his jet-black eyes, noting it was dawn. After a night's rest, his spiritual power and energy consumed to accelerate blood ginseng growth had fully recovered, making him feel remarkably comfortable. Each time his spiritual power restored after consumption, it increased slightly, accumulating impressively over time. Thanks to the jungle druid's bonus to recovery speed in the forest, Qi Ping could leave part of his consciousness absorbing spiritual power and comprehending the wood shield technique's mental realm during rest, significantly improving his cultivation efficiency and proficiency. As Qi Ping awoke, the golden marrow bees, guarding or dozing on various treetops, flew over, some landing in front of him and others on his shoulders. He had long grown used to this routine, which had lasted over a month. Qi Ping reflected that it had been over a month since awakening the Druid profession and noted the rent was almost due. The day after tomorrow was the Fuxing Association's gathering day, where he planned to inquire about recent events and sell the black bee honey collected during this period to prepare spirit stones for rent. He also intended to purchase living supplies like spirit rice and the liquors Old Man Joe liked. Over the past month, Qi Ping diligently tended the bees, collected honey, cultivated and nurtured blood ginseng and moon sleep flowers, and occasionally planted ordinary flowers, leading a fulfilling life. Led by the golden marrow bees, he discovered two spiritual medicines, a Tier 1 low-level concentration grass and a Tier 1 low-level water crystal flower. However, due to lack of spiritual qi in their growing area, their growth was poor. Recognizing the importance of spiritual land for spirit plant growth, Qi Ping moved these two plants to the blood ginseng cultivation ground on the rented mountain, the only area that could barely support their growth. Surprisingly, Qi Ping found that these two spirit plants could also absorb mysterious spiritual qi from underground, like blood ginseng. Under ample spiritual qi cultivation and Qi Ping's plant growth skill, the concentration grass and water crystal flower quickly recovered to prime condition and even aged further. As a result, Qi Ping obtained two new high-quality spirit plants, a small profit that could be sold if he lacked spirit stones. This discovery also piqued his curiosity about what lay underground, as the land's ability to support so many spirit plants suggested something extraordinary beneath. However, Qi Ping restrained his desire to explore, recognizing he was in a period of rapid growth without urgent need for new opportunities. He decided to wait until reaching a bottleneck or needing to plant higher-level spirit plants unsupported by the land before investigating underground, as unknown risks could be fatal. After more than a month of cultivation and refining golden marrow honey with improved effects, Qi Ping's cultivation had broken through to the third layer of qi refining a few days prior. He believed it would not take long to catch up to old Joe. Qi Ping laughed as he summarized his progress. After 4 refinements of golden marrow honey using blood ginseng as the main ingredient, his cultivation officially advanced from the second layer to the third layer of qi refining. The medicinal effects of blood ginseng combined with the honey-making ability of the golden marrow bee proved to be exceptionally powerful. Qi Ping accelerated the growth of the blood ginseng multiple times, and as the plant aged, its medicinal properties strengthened significantly. Ranked highly among Tier 1 intermediate spiritual medicines, blood ginseng's potency contributed greatly to the results. For a cultivator of Qi Ping's modest talent, breaking through from the first layer of qi, refining to the third layer in under 2 months was extraordinary. Normally, such progress would take 20 years and be considered fortunate. This rapid advancement demonstrated the effectiveness of blood ginseng and the golden marrow bee, especially for a cultivator in the early qi refining phase. The jungle druid's foundational enhancements in the mountain forest also played a critical role. Without the druid's boosts, Qi Ping's accelerated growth of spirit plants and cultivation would have been far less efficient. These enhancements were vital to his progress. Alongside breaking through to the third layer of qi refining, Qi Ping's wood shield technique advanced to the minor achievement realm. He could now effortlessly form a highly defensive spiritual shield around himself. Testing showed that even wielding his magical artifact long saber, Qi Ping could not break through the wood shield in a short time, illustrating its superior defensive power compared to other techniques. Qi Ping increasingly recognized the wood shield technique's extraordinary strength, which suited his style well. Given that the golden marrow bee's combat power far exceeded his own, enhancing his defense was essential to avoid becoming a target for higher-level cultivators. In his druid profession, Qi Ping also made significant progress. His druid level was only 17 experience points away from reaching level 2, with the plant growth skill nearly halfway to the next level. The Beast King's blessing skill increased more slowly, by only 7 points, but its effects at level 1 were already powerful. Qi Ping anticipated that as the number of animal companions grew, this skill's enhancement would become formidable. Qi Ping looked forward to reaching Druid level 2, which would allow him to contract a new animal companion and choose 2 additional Druid skills. The potential gains, including the extra slot for an animal companion, promised substantial boosts to his strength. Observing the golden marrow bee, Qi Ping understood how a powerful, vigilant animal companion with extraordinary honey-making abilities could be crucial. He acknowledged the impressive improvements made over the past month and recognized the mountain's suitability for his cultivation. Securing the land promptly was necessary to prevent others from renting it, especially since the underground mysterious spiritual chi where blood ginseng grew was irreplaceable without spending significant spirit stones on other Tier 1 spiritual lands. 2 days later, Qi Ping prepared for a trip to the Fuxing Association and Science Stone Marketplace. He gathered 11 bottles of black bee honey for sale, noting the batch's high quality due to improvements in golden marrow honey and spirit flower honey, which had increased the honey's quality by at least 2 levels. Qi Ping prioritized his safety, recalling old Zhou's warning about tribulation cultivators causing trouble in Qingshi County. Though the current situation remained unclear, he decided to bring the golden marrow bee along but faced the challenge of carrying it without detection. While hiding the bee on his person was possible, it might not evade the divine sense scans of other cultivators or the spiritual examinations common at the Science Stone Marketplace. Malicious cultivators could also scan him with divine sense. Qi Ping pondered his options, wishing he had a spirit beast bag to safely carry the bee without attracting attention.